How has my language learning gone for the last 2 weeks? I'm going to talk about Korean and then Chinese. So for Korean, in my previous video, I was really high on this like thing I found from YouTube, just listening, not focusing on writing and speaking, just listen, 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 as much input as possible. Um, the last week has kind of convinced me that I don't think that's going to be. In the previous video too, I mentioned I'm not willing to give up on the textbook either. I think this last week has really confirmed that for me, that I do not want to throw away a method that has worked for me in the past. Um, and I could try to give you a lot of reasons for why I think this is okay for me. Like I think one critical mistake a lot of people make when they're learning a language is they cling to translation for a really long time, and they might not even realize they're doing so. But people tend to think in terms of their native language for a long time, and I don't do that. Like I don't know how to explain it, but I just don't do that. And so this method I do of like memorizing the dialogue, learning words, I'm not learning a word and remembering it as a pointer toward the English word. I'm just learning the word. And I don't know a better way to explain that, but I'm just learning the word. Um, and so the thing is, what I'm doing now is I'm trying to watch at least 1 hour, preferably 2 hours of Korean TV shows every day with no subtitles, no Hangul, no English subtitles, just nothing. And I'm just really actively watching and listening, like the guy on YouTube said to do. However, I'm still continuing to use the textbook. I'm progressing through it. I'm explicitly learning things like I'm on the chapter now about location, saying where things are located. And I'm just going to keep going. Like I'm not going to give up on the book. Um I haven't been rigorously memorizing the dialogues, but I'm going to start doing that again. And I think I actually will, like starting next week when I post a video, I'll say the dialogue from memory. Just give you an idea of my pronunciation and what I'm learning and stuff like that. Um, and like to give you an example, just a very tangible example. I'm watching this show. I'm watching Crash Landing on You, and she calls like I just want to try to give you an example. What is it like? Like, have you ever sat down and just watched something in a language you barely speak for hours a day? Have you ever done that? I know people have like you turn Univision on and watch something in Spanish for like 10 minutes and then you're like, whatever. Like if you don't speak Spanish. So people have, I know most people probably have done something like that, but have you ever like really done that for a long time, for extended days on end? Um, what happens is you get really good at knowing what's going on more or less without actually knowing anything anyone is saying. And that's part of the sell of this method, is that you're getting the story, but then the word at first the words are just kind of there, but they start attaching meaning onto what you're seeing. The guy on YouTube recommended watch something one night, and then when you're working the next day, just have the audio for it and it will recall the scenes from the show. I have been doing that and it's been the case. Like I hear a certain thing happening, even though I'm usually not understanding most of anything they're saying. I can see the scene because I remember. I can tell from what I'm hearing that, oh, it's that scene that I remember, and I get the visuals in my head. So I think that has been solid advice, and I've been doing it. Um, but because I've also been using the integrated Korean textbook, like I was watching Crash Landing on You, and she keeps calling him some. I don't know what the word is, but you know how Korean you don't really use second person pronouns. So you call people, like you find a word to call them. A lot of times I've noticed when it's in an office, you just call them like if they're your boss, you call them like your boss or whatever senior position, like their title, their job title. A lot of times you call them their job title. So she's met this soldier, North Korean soldier, because it's a very goofy premise, but she's paragliding and there's a tornado and it throws her over the DMZ. And so she's a South Korean that lands in North Korea. And he ends up having to like hide her. And then he pretends he's his her fiance. So anyway, like there's a part she's been with him for like a while, like at least a day, and she just keeps calling him something. And I don't know what she's calling him because I have all the subtitles off. But I presume it to be like his rank, or she's calling him like soldier or something. I don't know what she's actually calling him, but she's calling him some word. And then at one point he's like, I have to go to Pyongyang. And I only know that because I understood the word Pyongyang, and then he went there and it showed the city, of course. But I did understand when he said he's going to Pyongyang. And so she's like, wait. And then she's like, Irumi boyo. Irumi boyo. And I just understood it. Like no translating. And obviously that's one of the most easy possible sentences in Korean. It's like, I'm not bragging that I know how I understood what's your name. But my point is that I understood that very clearly as soon as she said it without thinking in English at all. And the reason I understood that is because I learned it from the textbook. And so I learned it from the textbook, and then I saw it used exactly in a situation in the show, and then now that really clicks, right? Because I got it from both ends. Irumi boyo, irumi boyo. I also want to talk about the denasalization. I think it's kind of clicked for me. Like, so in Korean, the M sound, if it's at the beginning of a word, it's usually denasalized. So the word for like what, instead of sounding like mo, it's usually bo, boy, bo. Does this play here? Boyo. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm overdoing it, but I've been trying to do that, and it's the same for the N. So like instead of saying na nun, you say da nun, da nun, da 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 nun. 나는 미국 사람이에요. 나는 you wouldn't say 이에요. You'd say I haven't practiced informal stuff at all, so I don't usually say 나는. But I think it would be 나는 미국 사람이다 if you're not doing the formal stuff. 나는 미국 사람이다. I think 이다 is the informal, but correct me if I'm wrong. So that's an example though. 나는 미국. It's not me, it's 미국 사람. 미국 사람이에요. Or 나는 미국 사람이다. Anyway, so I've been trying to like really listen to that and get my pronunciation good. I practice speaking a lot. And the dialogue I'm on now is location stuff. So I've been learning like and I haven't been practicing this a lot, so it's one of those, like if I try to say it I can feel it like slowly recalling out of my brain. But it's, the particle for like a, so you have like anyway, I don't need to go into that right now. So I've been mostly focusing on that, and then I have an Anki deck that I'm using for the most common verbs. That's the other thing I wanted to talk about with Korean is the verbs. I don't like this this is a mark against integrated Korean, by the way. I find I can't really excuse this of them, but they do a thing that drives me crazy. They introduce words in a chapter and they don't put it in any of the dialogues for the chapter. So to give you an example, the verb 먹다, to eat, has been introduced. 먹다, but it's not in the dialogues. It's just like in the glossary for the chapter, and then like those like practice exercises they have. they're like, how would you say like this? And you need to know bukta for that. But they don't use it in the dialogue, so it feels like you're not really learning it to me. If it's not in the dialogue, it's not important. Like that's how I feel. And so they kind of they're sneaking some words in like that aren't actually being used in the chapter. In my, like, just because you put it in the glossary and ask me once in an exercise doesn't mean that I've learned it. Like, you need to put it in the dialogue. And then so I really, this annoys me a lot about integrated Korean. um and I think they even introduced like mashida, like drink. So bakta, mashida. But I only learned those now because I put them on the, I got an Anki deck of the 50 most common Korean verbs, and I was like, oh yeah, I guess I did learn these in the textbook, but I never used them, so who knows. Um, so I don't like that. I think that's a miss. And generally speaking, the only verbs that integrated Korean has actually used in the dialogue thus far have been like 이에요, and what else was there? I mean, they've done some adverbial stuff, the adverbs that are kind of ends up kind of like being like verbs. So they did a few of those, but I don't know. Like my basic feeling right now as a learner is that the verbs are kind of mysterious to me. They don't, like, when I watch shows and hear people talking in a full sentence, I struggle to hear the verb. I struggle to hear it. Oh, another verb I learned was puta, puta, and it looks. This is another struggle I've been having with Korean, is the spelling doesn't really seem to lie. I talked about this last video with 투서관, 투서관, that looks like to서관, but it's pronounced 투서관. Um, I found like the verb for to see, it looks like po, it looks like poda, but it seems like it's usually pronounced puta, puta. And so this, like, I did memorize one of the dialogues, and one sentence I have for that verb is like um is 한국어 시험을 봐요. 한국어 시험을, I think it's more like 한국어 시험을 봐요. I take a Korean test. 한국어 시험을 봐요. So at the end of the sentence, it's just pi. It's like there's like a sound shift that happens, payo, instead of payo. It's payo. But anyway, like the this whole like way that Korean is structured, it's not difficult for me grammatically, but what I find difficult specifically is hearing a sentence and knowing what thing is what. And if you contrast this to something like Japanese, and forgive me for doing this, but like this is pretty nonsense for me to do this, but I just want to give you my example. When I hear Japanese, I do not really, I know some words in Japanese. I understand some stuff because I've just heard it a lot. But when I hear Japanese, I feel like I can hear every sound very clearly. And not only every sound, but I can generally tell, like, oh, there's the verb. The verb's at the end. There's the verb. Oh, I just heard the indirect object particle, which is like ni, and I hear it really clearly. So if like the guy's name is like Hiro, they'll be like Hiro ni, and it's like very clear to me for some reason. And so this sentence, 한국어 시험을, 한국어 시험을 봐요. If it were Japanese, I feel like it would be like 한국어. It would be like 한국어 시험을 봐요. But in Korean, it's just 한국어 시험을 봐요. 한국어 시험을 봐요. And I don't like, the solution for me basically is like, and this is why I'm doing the Anki deck, is I want to memorize the verbs. And when I hear pa, pa, when I hear that pa verb, I need to like I want my head to just be like, boom, I know what that is. I know that verb is to see. And I'm not going to translate it, obviously, but I just want to hear pa and be like, I know it. And whatever conjugations you have on there, if it's like I don't even know how to say it in like for it's like pasumnida or something like that. I don't know how to say it, but if I hear like pasumnida, I'm like, okay, it's C. It's still C. I just hear pa. If it's future or something, if it's subjunctive, I'm just gonna hear the pa and hopefully know, okay, they're talking about seeing. Um, but the particles, even I find the way that the particle just like merges right onto the noun is tricky because if I know the word, obviously, like a word like tusuguan, I know that word tusuguan. So if I hear like um tusuguan, I know that's like a location. They're going to be like talking about like where something is in location in ref where something is located in reference to the library. Tusuguan, tusuguan rule or tusuguan. Sorry, it would be tus. It would be tus. I keep saying ta. It would be tusuguan ul. Tusuguan ul. Like I'm going to see the tusuguan ul payo. I don't know. I'm seeing the library. Um. So when those words that I know really well, like tusuguan, and the particles on there, it's not going to throw me. But if I've never heard the word and I just hear shiamul, shiamul, or shiame or something like that, I don't know. Like if I don't know the word shiam really well, then it's maybe I think the word itself, the noun itself, is shiamul. Maybe I don't know. At this stage, I know what the direct object particle is. I know it's ul and urul, but I can't like if it's all bunched together with a bunch of other sounds of words I don't know. It just is like, is that the particle? Is that part of the word? I don't know. So that's what I'm working on. Um, I'm gonna start. I'll start memorizing the dialogues, and next video I make, I'll do some. I'll say some of the dialogues out and see how I can just record myself doing it for a test, basically. Um. So anyway, let's talk about Chinese. For Chinese, I've mostly been focused on reading, and I did record a video. The nature of the thing with Chinese is my ability isn't as good as I want it to be. And so when I record a video and watch the video, I just think to myself, like, no, I can speak better than that. I can speak better than that. And it makes me want to re-record it. And obviously, like, I can't really speak much better than that. But it's like that variance thing, like, well, maybe if I try a little bit better, I can make it better. Um, I'm probably just going to do one more and just upload it. So I'll start putting up some videos that are just talking in Chinese. I want to talk about different topics. I just want to pick a topic and talk about it rather than talking about like, here's what I'm learning in talking about it in Chinese. I'd rather just talk about something I'm interested in and go for it. Um, but I've been reading a book that I've already read in English, and it's been going pretty well. I've been taking notes and writing down some words that I learn as I go. I've been doing the rule 一页一字 means one page, one word, one character or whatever. And so every page, if I pick out the word, if there's one word on a page I really want to know what it means, I look it up. But after that, I'm not looking it up. Now, I make some exceptions specifically for Chinese because sometimes I'll see a character and I know what it means, but I forget how to say it. And I'll just look up how to say it sometimes. And I'll do that. I'll let myself do that a few times per page because I seeing a character and not even knowing how to pronounce it is, in my mind, it's different than if I'm reading German and I see a word I don't know, but I can say it. because then I keep hearing, I'm not really reading out loud, but I'm hearing it in my mind. Whereas with a Chinese character that I don't know, if I can't pronounce it at all, and sometimes worse yet, it's I think maybe it's pronounced like this because of like it has a similarity to another character I know, and a lot of times they end up being pronounced the same. If I do that and make up my own pronunciation, I risk learning the word incorrectly, which is probably worse. So I've been looking up a bit, but not too much, and it's been pretty smooth. Like I'm enjoying the book, I'm understanding the book, and there's moments where I don't know words, but it's okay. And as far as Chinese listening, I was watching a show, but it's honestly like I can only watch so many shows a day, and Korean is kind of taking priority on that. But I have been watching some Chinese stuff, and I understand it really well, honestly. Like it's not that hard for me, and I want to try to find some balance to do more of it, like to watch more. I want to keep reading. I think reading is honestly the most important thing for me right now, and that is why I'm prioritizing it. But if I want my speaking to get better, I'm gonna need to watch a lot more, get more input, and I think doing the videos will help me to actually. I need to find my voice in Chinese. I I, I don't like my voice in English either. I have like a very naturally mumbling voice. I think it feels unnatural for me to enunciate words. And if I do enunciate words, I feel like I'm talking like a robot. And I have the same issue in German. Um, like in German with the R sound in particular, I just there's a way that you're like I don't know how to like, I'm trying I can't think of a good example, but like let me think or try this sentence. Like if I want to say I'm driving, we're gonna take the big car. It's kind of a stupid sentence, but I'm just trying to get some R's in there. It would be so if I say it like here's how I would just normally say it. Wir fahren mit dem großen Auto. Wir fahren mit dem großen Auto. I would just say it like that. But I'm always kind of self-conscious about my accent. And it's like if I'm not enunciating the R, I'm worried that I'm kind of doing it not German enough. So then if I enunciate it, it's like wir fahren mit dem großen Auto. And then I do those R's very deliberately, but then I'm talking like weird. I'm talking weird. And so I have that issue in Chinese, but it's worse because it's not just the R sound that I really notice. It's just all of the tones. So it's like, and also the R sound in Chinese too. But it's like if I try to talk more naturally, I notice that I just start butchering certain words. But then if I enunciate, it's like no one talks like this. So I'm trying to find my voice. And I guess that's all I have to say for this update. Thank you for anyone watching, and I appreciated the one comment I got. You helped reinforce what I was already kind of leaning toward doing anyway. So thanks.